After the release of Bad Piggies and Angry Birds Go, Rovio was fully into its spin-off era and had tons of new game genres to put an Angry Birds coat of paint over. So what would be next? If we were talking about modern day Rovio, some match 3 slop or one-note gameplay loop would be the obvious choice, but no. Instead, they went all out and created one of the most beloved and fan-favorite Angry Birds games in the entire series, an RPG. This is the story of Angry Birds Epic. It's been a long time coming, but we finally made it to the game people have been hoping to see a video on since I started this series. Even still, I don't expect this video to do all that well, but for those of you who've been waiting for this, I hope you enjoy it. I'll be playing this game for the first time, people, but first, let's get into the history of this game and how it came to be. Just like Angry Birds Go, Epic wasn't made by Rovio. We have Chimera Entertainment to thank for this game. From what I've read, the idea of this game initially had nothing to do with Angry Birds, but once it was pitched to Rovio, the team began transforming all the original game into an Angry Birds project. With that came a ton of challenges. Rovio did not want any real death, real weapons, yet all the charm and humor from the series need to carry over. I think that stuff is kind of funny, like yeah, Red and Chuck use books and feathers to attack, but they're still hitting the enemies pretty dang hard. Still, with these limitations, I think they actually created a lot of the charm this game has. The weird weapons and classes are what make this game so fun. The second challenge was to make this a good, sometimes challenging, and complex RPG, while still appealing to the casual audience of Angry Birds players. Again, I'm surprised this was even a challenge for them, because I think it's safe to say they absolutely nailed that aspect of this game. A casual yet well-made RPG. Next, the character animation was important to nail too. These birds and pigs needed idle animations. They needed to feel alive and were incredibly important for the feel of this game, especially during the main gameplay portions. Thankfully, Angry Birds Toons had solved this problem completely, and they used the art style, personality, voices, everything from Toons. And if there's one thing I've always loved about this game, it's the art direction and the character animation, some of the best in the entire Angry Birds series. I don't mean to go too in-depth on every little layer of Angry Birds Epic before actually playing the damn game, but I think a lot of us have taken these small things for granted. The music is incredible, the animation and background art is perfect, there's tons of unique items and weapons and classes. The gameplay, for the most part, has a decent balance and appeals to all audiences. Piggy Island itself is so incredibly fleshed out, and simply exploring the map is fun. All of these little things could have been half-assed. Could have been weak or ruined the fun and charm of the game, but they put the work in and made Angry Birds Epic something nearly impossible to not fall in love with. I forget about all that stuff too sometimes, but just sitting here reading about the challenges in making this game and playing it myself, it is so clear how much love and respect was poured into this game. But that's enough history and development from this game. Let's start playing. I've chosen to play the true vanilla mod of this game, which aims to make the experience as close to the classic way of playing this game as possible. There's been updates and changes over time that fans don't like as much as the original, so this mod restores everything and seems to have a lot of praise for it. Oh, and also replaces the ads with stuff like this.
When I open my eyes, I will see Five Nights at Freddy's.
I randomly paused the game at one point and was met with the funniest jump scare of all time. I love this stupid cat image, and now I already love this mod too. Anyways, I believe the game used to just have a little comic for the intro cutscene for this game, and it looks beautiful. I love how detailed they went here, more like a storybook vibe than normal. But now it is a full cutscene, which is very cool, but also is pretty low quality, and as soon as the bird showed up in a completely different art style, it took me out of it a little, I'm not gonna lie. Both intros have their perks for sure. But the story is pretty simple. King Pig wants eggs, and he sends his traitorous WizPig to steal them. And his son, Prince Porky, well, he's here too, I guess. The birds immediately lose the damn eggs. I don't know how King Pig hasn't eaten them already. I guess it's because Wizard Pig is an idiot and puts one in every tower. There's also 5 eggs here for some reason. I guess we just accept that fact and move on with it. The tutorial is a tiny bit different depending on your version too. In one of them, you get to play as a high-leveled, super strong version of Red and Chuck just to learn how the mechanics work, before then getting stripped of your cool loadouts by WizPig and starting your journey. In other versions, you just jump right to that point, where Chuck has been kidnapped and you play as Red through some easy tutorial levels. Here they teach you the main mechanics. Drag your little circle to an enemy to attack on your turn, then let the pigs take their turn. Each character has a unique ability, like Red can place a shield on himself, and a pepper ability too, which is like their ultimate move. Red, of course, just does a big ol' attack. They also show us there's levels with multiple waves of pigs, usually in a dungeon or tower fight. Once we find Chuck, we can bust him out of his cage, and he helps us win the level. Getting good scores gets you up to 3 stars in each stage, and then you spin a wheel and hope to get the items you need. Not too long after, we unlock the anvil that lets us use these items to craft new weapons. I'm going to tell you right now, I will not see or go over every single weapon in this game, but there are a lot, and that's just part of the many reasons why this game is so fun. Items do other things too, like making potions you can use mid-battle. Anyways, early on we get a lot of important fights, like one against Prince Porky, and then our first big tower with 5 waves of pigs. They're pretty easy, but still, that's daunting. Now that we have Chuck, he's known for his group damage, which is incredibly helpful. Not nearly as strong as Red, but entirely necessary for big groups of weak pigs. At the top of the tower, Prince Porky gets inflated by WizPig, but he's still a walk in the park. The egg is ours, and the pigs retreat. Now you see the gameplay loop as WizPig travels to the next tower, and we move ahead to chase Prince Porky down once again. We also unlock our first new class for Red. Classes are really cool in this game, as they're not necessarily upgrades. Instead, they give characters new attacks and abilities. Some are better for fights than others, and it's fun to find your favorites. Like Chuck's first new class, I immediately bought the Lightning Bird class next, as it allows Chuck to give Red a bonus attack. Letting Red do damage twice in one turn is huge against strong pigs. His perk training ability is so important the game even tells you to use it. Anyways, we can already see Matilda down the road getting her veggies grape stomped, so after a few fights we can move to recruit her next. We start taking some real damage at this point, so it becomes pretty clear we need a healer, and Matilda can do just that. I don't know about you, but Matilda is going to be a pretty important mainstay on my team throughout this game. Having attack power is good, but healing in this game is almost always necessary. As soon as we get her, she has more health than anybody, every time she attacks she heals the whole team, and I'm already much more confident in my ability to survive these fights. Anyways, Prince Porky freaking flees again, this time flying to an island before crashing. Then out of nowhere, Bomb sails by with his face glitching in and out, before a pirate comes to tussle with him. I didn't realize just how quickly we were going to unlock every character, but before you know it, Bomb had joined her team. Since I've almost exclusively been using Red for damage anyways, and you can only have 3 birds at a time, I replaced him with Bomb, who for now is essentially our tank. He makes our series of pirate fights incredibly easy, as we go on a wild goose chase for the ship wheel across the island. It sucks the screen flashes every single time he attacks, but it's worth it for that big damage. Once we repair our ship, we can continue the mission, sailing around the island thanks to some random whirlpool. These pirate ship fights are so nostalgic to me, and maybe that's just because I'm traumatized by these dumb ghost pigs. They caused my first loss in this game, but I came back in and easily wiped the floor with them again thanks to Bomb's pepper ability. Anyways, on our way we come across the Blues, so it's time to save them and complete our party before we even finish the second tower. How dare they order them with freaking Jim first? He better be on the goddamn bottom of the stack. To be honest, I don't actually know what kind of role the Blues play in this game. It tells you they are a jack of all trades, not a Jake of all trades for some stupid reason, but I guess that means they can do whatever you need. They start out with the ability to cleanse you and your enemies of status effects, and do decent damage but nothing overly special. Maybe now is a good time to say I don't know what the best characters and classes are in this game. So if I'm using a bad character or group of birds at any point, it is 100% a skill issue. I am a complete noob. I gotta say, I've got some great items for Bomb at this point, so I really have no choice but to keep him around. Anyways, we make it to the deserty tower, defeat Prince Porky again, and claim our next egg. Prince Porky sails off and WizPig places the next egg in a water area. Between these towers is when the game finally begins to pick up in terms of difficulty. You better start getting good items, especially defense, because the pigs aren't holding back anymore. Like this zombie pig fight, for example. He can wipe out birds in a single hit if you're not careful. I'd get him right to the end of his health and then he'd heal and ruin everything. We also start to see these little groups of pigs who love being flat out annoying. But I must say, even when I thought I had a low chance of winning, I'd still manage to pull through now and again. And my main group of birds all have the best equipment I've managed to find so far. Using Red for defense and Matilda for health is needed almost every single time. Finally, we make it up towards the big starfish. We initially get blocked off one way, we go all the way around, and he blocks it off again, so it's very funny that Red realizes he can just go through the main entrance now. I was a bit underleveled for the third tower, but I was determined to beat it regardless. That is, until I found out I was fighting WizPig himself, and he'd be powering himself up to do way too much damage, so I had to switch over to the Blues, using their cleansing ability to make him weak enough to survive his attacks. After beating the snot out of him, he drops his blue key and skedaddles. Up next is easily my favorite part of the story mode. Not only does the next area have cool ninjas and stuff, but they use a fake egg to ambush our team, leaving only Matilda and the Blues behind. I love when RPGs take away part of your team for a few missions, creating a brand new challenge and forcing you to use these newer birds. Even just losing Red and Chuck shakes things up a bit. These levels were baby easy though, so there wasn't too much challenge, but I still enjoy having to re-unlock our birds. So 3 short battles later, we can free Bomb, who joins us for a couple fights. Then we get Chuck, who, to be honest, is my least used party member, but I forced myself to bring him in for some fights as well. Then it seems like we'd be getting Red, but Prince Porky scoops him up into the sky. Thankfully, Professor Pig, who I forgot to mention is just a homie in this game, offers to turn our ship into a hot air balloon if we can find some parts for him, scattered across the map of course. So a few fights later, all incredibly easy might I add, we make the flying ship. We take Red back into our clutches, and finally my dream team can be back to normal. And we visit the snowy region on our way to the next tower. I really like the snow area, but again, I had no trouble at all here. I got 3 stars on each one first try. That is, until we reach the tower, where we have to face WizPig and Prince Porky at the same time. I tried wiping out WizPig to start, but with his healing, it became quickly impossible and I had to start all over. The bombs are baby weak too, you can completely ignore them and I don't really know why they're even here. With my new knowledge, I focus entirely on Prince Porky, also making sure to use the blues on anyone with helpful status effects. After that, we simply wail on WizPig again and again until my pepper is charged enough to do some real damage. And with those two beaten, cowering in fear, and only holding a single egg, they fly over to King Pig himself, who was sort of expecting a full course meal. With seemingly our final fight just a handful of levels away, I beelined it through these next few levels. Well, actually, it was 4 AM when I beat that tower, so I ate my Taco Bell and rubbed my big fat belly with a smirk on my face, and then went to bed, and the next day I beelined it through the next few levels. On our way, Blurry Mighty Eagle drops down and tells us we need to get a cool sword. I'm not against cool swords, I'm just not exactly sure why he wants me to do this just yet. We finally reach King Pig, but using the hot air balloon won't work, since they have catapults. We'll have to take a little detour, but since it's on the water with a bunch of mines, we're gonna need a new vehicle, a submarine. So we go way over to the other side of the map to start hunting it down. Now that I'm nearly done, it's become pretty clear that the difficulty of each level can skew all at once. As long as I have Matilda and Red on my team, no one is going to die. And I can wipe out every single team of pigs, no matter how much stronger they are than me. Anyways, we start catching up to Mustache Pig in a submarine, beating him up and stealing it for ourselves. Now we can sail right past the mines and straight towards the final tower. King Pig retreats and sends his best 3 pigs to try to stop us. But when we beat the first, and he tries to escape, WizPig turns him into a fly. That's sorta weird. Next is Prince Porky, which ended up being one of the trickier fights I've done, since it basically forced me to bring in Chuck for once. There's constant bombs spawning in to heal him. I'll take damage all day, but if he's healing more than I'm attacking, this just ain't gonna work. But he's not so bad, and we can move on to WizPig next, who was also pretty dang easy I gotta say. With all that done, we move on to our final tower, with easily the biggest power deficit we've had yet. Level 1 was easy, just Corporal Pig and some easy minions. Moving to level 2, there's one ironclad guy with 2 little henchmen. Again, easy stuff. Level 3 literally had pigs I've never seen before now, but they love to shield themselves rather than deal any real damage to me. We've got another very healthy knight on the penultimate level, but once his friends are gone, you can really wail on the guy. And now the triple threat, all 3 of our favorite piggies to fight at once. And I simply did not have a good team for them, so I didn't even bother recording footage here. I didn't make a dent in them, so I gave up and brought in a better squad. Once again, because of the dumb healing bombs, it feels like Chuck is the only answer here, which sucks because he's easily my weakest bird, so it took a few attempts, I'll be honest. They'd randomly target their attacks on one bird and I'd die out of nowhere. But it felt very doable, so I kept trying. I was making sure to deal with WizPig first. I'm pretty sure he has the least amount of health here of the 3. After that, our 2 members of royalty died nearly at the same time. And because it took me so long, even though I had full health at the end, I only got freaking 2 stars. Still got lucky with that chest at least. So there it is, we've seemingly won. But while everyone's distracted, WizPig seals both the final egg and King Pig's crown, angering everybody. He flies up to the very top of the island, summons all of his old wizard friends to shield him, and sets up shop for the final battle. Before that, I decided to go see what Mighty Eagle's sword mission was all about. I made it there, all the fights were easy leading up to it, but then it only lets me select one bird, and puts me against a decked out Red. I think it's safe to say none of my team can deal with that just yet, but maybe I'll get one of them strong enough to come back and figure this out at some point. Let's move towards WizPig now, flying up the mountain. We've got a lot of wizards to fight now, and most are pretty easy, but I really hate the one that heals everybody. I gotta bring in the blues for that guy in particular. So I head towards my first solo fight against the Inferno Pig. It was truly epic with all the lightning effects and his crazy health bar. But yeah, he's a lot stronger than me. Using the blues got me a lot closer, but he still managed to wear me down. I went to go grind for some better items for a while, but it was taking forever. So instead, let's check out one of the worst aspects of this game, the Golden Pig. You can spend premium currency to randomly earn some powerful items. I went from being incredibly underleveled to clearing each wizard with ease after doing this, because it's broken. I went and crafted a new weapon for Bomb, happy to have him even stronger, and then I randomly pulled a better item in the stupid Golden Pig. Another one I crafted is already useless to me. This was a free mobile game, having gacha aspects was undeniably necessary, but it just sucks how quickly this stuff ruins the fun and progression of the game. Now I'm 5 Guardian Wizards down without blinking an eye. Before fighting the final boss, I went back and, using Matilda, I managed to beat that evil red once and for all. Almost died a couple times, but Matilda is my girl boss queen! Turns out all you get for doing so is a way to manually level up your mastery on your classes. Boring! There is nothing left standing in my way. I am barely strong enough to take on the WizPig once and for all, so let's check out his tower for the final battle. Unlike the other towers, there's only 2 waves here, both equally pretty brutal. Chef Pig has way too much health and is being assisted by 2 zombie pigs. Throughout the fight, there are constant horrible stat effects placed on your team, and the only bird I have who can take care of that are the blues. So we'd slowly die over the course of the fight while Matilda tries her hardest to keep us healed enough to survive. If you do it right, which many times I did not, you'll beat WizPig before any of your team kicks the bucket. It was always a close call though. Then WizPig begins his second phase, transforming into the demonic WizPig. I always found that a little silly. Not sure why he'd become a demon or why it's the final boss, but those questions can wait. When our opponent seems unbeatable, none other than Prince Porky joins our team. We have a 4th party member now, and we're gonna need it. In this second phase, I gotta be constantly healing everyone, killing the ghost pigs, and taking any extra hits on WizPig when possible. If any ghosts survive, WizPig basically fully heals, so you don't want that. You actually have to consistently use Prince Porky's unique pepper ability every time there's 4 ghosts on screen, because if he kills them, they don't come back, and WizPig won't heal. In my opinion, once you figure that out, this part of this fight is infinitely easier than the previous wave, and I had fully depleted his health bar, but he lived! So sadly, I lost the blues. But with one final pepper from Prince Porky, he is defeated, and we just won the game. The birds all celebrate their victory, and Red and Prince Porky come to a truce to trade back the crown for their final egg, and the whole team watches the sunset together. Even though they literally tried to kidnap, cook, and eat our undead children just moments ago. What a happy ending. After that, the post-game is what true RPG fans seem to enjoy. I personally hate the stupid dungeon caves, but I think people actually do like it, so I made sure to at least finish the first one. In each cave there will be a boss at the end of 10 levels, and throughout you can find unique weapon blueprints and just better rewards in general than most of the previous levels. Each cave gets harder and harder, and usually is themed and features a small handful of pigs. This one is all about healers and shamans and stuff. Easily my least favorite thing about the caves is the friend system they force on you. You're only allowed to use 2 of your own birds, and you can rent a friend's bird to go into battle with you. So if you have a friend who spent a bunch of money on the game, you might be able to clear every single cave in the game without upgrading your birds. Not only is this game pay to win, but you have to be sociable too? I think it's safe to say most Angry Birds fans don't have either of those skills. Still, even if you have a wealthy friend, you have to wait for the birds to recharge before you can bring them in again. If you have no friends, like me, the game gives you some free pigs to join you. There's the fan favorite Piggy McCool, easily my favorite, Piggiana Jones, a pretty strong ally, and good old Prince Porky, who we've already tried out during the final boss. It's fun that they added new characters here, considering the amount of birds we never got to join our team. Just think of the possibilities for classes and combos if they'd introduced Bubbles, Stella, Hal, and even Terrence. But no, they stuck with the core roster, and instead gave Terrence the role of judge, jury, and executioner in the arena mode. This one's pretty easy to figure out, a classic PvP mode where your goal is to knock out your opponent's tapestry before they do the same to you. It works pretty good, although unfortunately this mode is also entirely pay to win, which is even worse considering it's a PvP mode. But at least an arena mode makes sense for a turn-based RPG like this. Since we finished our journey, let's look at all the things we didn't get to showcase. I only had 2 or 3 classes for each of the birds, and I was taunted constantly as I played with cool new ones I'd simply never afford. These things cost a fortune, and I couldn't possibly save my money to buy any because I needed to use RNG to get some good gear from the golden pig. So I truly have no idea what classes are best. And I'm sorry you were stuck looking at the Guardian, Druid, and Pirate for pretty much the entire campaign. That's a problem with the game, not the player. I ended up getting some pretty cool items for Bomb specifically, making him incredibly strong and able to keep me afloat in the cave levels where I only had 2 damn birds. And other than that, my other birds were all fairly weak, and I will never see a fraction of the cool items you can get in this game. And that's sad because there's some really fun ones, I'm sure. Lastly, there are a bunch of limited time events throughout the life of this game I'll never play. There happened to be a Christmas one going while I worked on this, so I played a couple levels. And I suppose if you're strong and skilled at this game, you could go all the way to the end and get some really cool holiday skins for your classes. There was an event for basically every holiday in this game, so no need to touch on those. But there were unique events too. There's a supervillain one, another to promote the Angry Birds movie, and even one with a unique Tinker Titan boss. But the real highlights were the crossover events. The more well-known one was a Sonic event. In Sonic Dash, you could unlock Angry Birds epic characters, which made 0 sense and is the strangest thing ever, a game about running with some random RPG character with no arms or legs. But anyways, in Angry Birds epic you could have Sonic on your team and fight some classic Sonic enemies. What sucks is they hardly tried, just putting in PNGs with half-ass animations, which stands out like a sore thumb with the fluid and well-made designs of the actual birds and pigs. There was also a Puzzle and Dragons crossover, which makes so much more sense and featured some very amusing enemies. It's funny to think these characters are canon to Angry Birds now. Anyways, the events were cool, but definitely should have been bigger, and there should have been more with unique fights and pigs and all that, to keep the game alive and continue to receive content updates. But oh well, I guess that's just wishful thinking. There are so many things I'll never get to see or try or even think about doing in Angry Birds Epic, and that's maybe the saddest part. If I just download a mod with infinite currency, I lose the ability to face challenging levels or have a satisfying progression to upgrade my characters, and if I try to do it myself, well, it'll take a lifetime, and it won't be satisfying either. It'll be long and boring with a lot of grinding just to beat a single level at a time. Through the story of Angry Birds Epic, the game is decently balanced, I think, and even really hard fights can be beat with a good team. But post-game, you gotta pay up or quit, unless you like the idea of spinning a little wheel after each level and the hope is that it might land on the thing you need. This game has problems, even the biggest fans have to admit that, right? There's some incredibly scummy ideas thrown in here that taint this from being the little Angry Birds RPG we want it to be, so let's talk about it critically for a second. In order to beat the game and get some good items along the way, realistically you wouldn't have to grind for items all that much. But when you do, that means entering a battle, most likely one so easy you can beat it before the pigs can attack, and spin the wheel at the end to try to get the items you need. You get a couple, and you do that again a few times until you have enough. Every time you need some sort of material, that is how you do it. And can I ask you this? Is that fun? Is that satisfying? To be honest, I'd rather have a completely different system here. Once you 3-star a stage, they don't make you replay it arbitrarily, you can just spin the wheel again and it goes on a timer every day. Yes, that leads to even scummier practices and potentially way more grinding, but at least I'm not forced to replay some baby easy stage over and over to do it. Does that make sense? Am I alone in being annoyed by this? I love playing through the story, completing all the levels and getting 3 stars, but once I've beaten a level, I have absolutely no interest in having to replay it. Sometimes it'll switch up the pigs and stages just to give you a twist, but again, you get to the point where you're so over-leveled you can clear the stages without a second thought. And even still, if you grind and get all the best items for all the blueprints you have, in my experience at least, you still have to rely on the stupid golden pig gacha machine to get some actually good items to beat the main story. Maybe I'm wrong on that, I'm not really sure, but I hate that I have to give into my least favorite part of this game just to see the end of it. Again, am I alone in that, or is that a real flaw that brings the game down? With all those negatives said though, I cannot deny that I didn't enjoy playing this game. As someone who isn't big on this genre of games, they really dumbed it down the perfect amount so that it was never overly complex or hard to understand like a lot of real turn-based RPGs, which is great for their audience, kids and casual players. The art is perfect, the music is perfect, the character designs, enemy types, and variations, they're all wonderful and super fun to discover for the first time. As an Angry Birds fan, playing this game and going on this grand adventure and finding my favorite classes and characters and strategies was incredible, and I really never felt bored while playing through all 6 of the towers. Again, post-game loses my interest very quickly, but there is so much introduced and added throughout the campaign that I get addicted to playing for hours at a time. I really enjoyed the challenging levels, though unfortunately almost every single level in this game is either overly easy or on par with the birds you have, even for someone like me who barely did any grinding or anything like that. I didn't use the gacha machine until the final set of levels, so I experienced the main story as purely as possible. Still, I don't think the campaign was too long or too short. It hit a good sweet spot, I'd say. After finally sitting down and playing this game after all this time, I can completely understand why people love it so much. I already did understand to an extent, but I just had a blast playing through it all, and it feels like a high I'll probably never recreate. I can confidently say I would never give Angry Birds Epic an S tier on our rankings, however. It is simply too flawed, and the premium currency costs and pay-to-win aspects are incredibly disappointing compared to the classic Slingshot titles. Still, it's one of the best Angry Birds spin-offs to ever exist, and for that, I'll be placing it in A tier. I think that's as fair as I can be to the game with so many negatives. It is beloved for a reason, but cannot possibly be higher than that. Let me know what you think of my ranking and what you love or hate about this game yourself. I literally only ever see people glaze this game, so some comments taking a more critical stance, even if you love the game, would be greatly appreciated. I want to see some real talk about this game, not just boasting about how amazing it is with no sort of description or examples to back up why. This very well may be the final Angry Birds game I rank on my channel. Never say never, I do love Angry Birds Stella, the next game on our list, but this series is only dwindling in views over time, and as this is my job, I can't reasonably spend weeks on these videos if they aren't doing very well. Someday I might get the itch to keep making more, maybe as a hobby in the future when I no longer make YouTube videos regularly. Who knows what will happen? But thank you to everyone who supported these videos over time. It's no secret I love these games and I love talking about them every chance I get. I will probably make Angry Birds videos forever because of that, just in different forms in this ranking series. This video is available to watch on Patreon back in December, so don't miss out next time. I post them as soon as I'm done working on them, and I'm super caught up right now. So join my Patreon to see videos early and to support my channel. Or become a member like Patrick Bayerjean, Keep, Jep the Legend, Cheaper Yang, Test Monkey, The Pixelated Gamer 08, Perskipinenter, Checky, Timur Kurinov, Aaron the Ghoul, Freakish Smile, Geminot, Lewis, Dante, MGR Damadan, Einar Jar, Jonathan Biscoff, OK, Sleepy Boy 74, Kirby Fan Real 1992, Green Man Yeah, Skivity, Alice Wilson, MacDax 2, and Lavatane.
And Purple Man 932.
By the way, they changed the way the members work, so I can only see your ats now. I remember some of your names, but just going off the top of my head, I wasn't able to remember all of them. But you can change your ad if you want me to say something different. I usually say next time will be Angry Birds whatever at the end of these videos, but I don't have anything planned for next time. It would be Stella, just for the record, and it may happen still, we shall see. But one last time, thank you for watching, goodbye. And as this is my job, I can't reasonably spend weeks on one of these videos if they aren't I can't reasonably spend weeks on these videos if they aren't doing very well. Someday I might get the itch to make more, but as a hobby in the future when I